Arizona Revised Statute 35-301, which I'll just read briefly the item that I think there are issues with. It says duties and liabilities of custodian of public monies, violations, classification. A public officer or other person, including justices of the peace, constables charged with the receipt, safekeeping, transfer, or disbursement of public monies, is guilty of a Class 4 felony, who, without authority of law, appropriates it or any portion thereof to his own use or the use of another, without some service being returned. And this is the specific question one specific question I would like to start with.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, without actually taking a look at the particular contribution or taking a look at the particular circumstances, I'm not going to opine on that today. Here's the gist with regard to this. Our office has and it's been the board's policy with respect to what we look at. The board has said we look at items that are $5,000 or more. And if the board wants to, as a policy, have us look at smaller items, and many of these are very de minimis, we'd be happy to do that. But without an opportunity to go through and take a look at these, I'm not going to say what is going to be a conflict of interest or not.
Well, one of the things I did was include this in the background material for this discussion today. It was all there. And for example, the Auditor General, 2013 November alert, he speaks specifically about ensuring public money is not improperly being given, donated, or loaned to private individuals or organizations. Further, public monies cannot be commingled with private monies. And then he's talked about specifically about prohibiting public officials and employees from using public resources to benefit private business organizations. Absent express statutory authority, political subdivisions have no legal right to create, operate, or administrate private entities such as foundations, booster clubs, or parent groups. In these donations going to these private entities, nonprofit organizations such as Planned Parenthood, Chicanos por la Causa, and we've provided specific, and I can certainly give you a copy, examples of where the particular supervisor gave to a charity and then the officers or the charitable organization itself gave back to their campaign. And at the very minimum, we should be, as supervisors, making the public feel very comfortable that we are doing nothing inappropriate with their funds. And I'm not saying anybody did anything inappropriate, but this does not give a good appearance. And the other question I have is, how can the supervisors allocate funds to various outside agencies without one question from finance or from any other organization within the county? And is there any required internal audit for Pima County? I haven't seen one done, but I have read the policies, and it appears there should be an internal audit by our peers. Is that correct? Mr. Burke, if you can answer that, please.
Mr. Burke, seems to be a hot potato.
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Miller, there is no requirement for internal audit peer review. There are some standards that's a good recommendation. There's no requirement for that, and the county is audited by the Auditor General, and so we do internal audits for compliance with our regulations, our policies, but we do not do financial audits.
Okay, and I had another question for Mr. Witteris or Mr. Burke, whoever wishes to answer this. Also regarding two donations of $13,000 of the total of $13,000 given by a supervisor to Chicanos por la Causa. Within 2 months, this supervisor gave $7,499. Now, you were talking, Mr. Straub, about the limitation of $5,000. Within 2 months, $7,500 was given, and this certainly violates that spirit of not giving more than $5,000, does it not?
I'm not going to comment on that. I think the reason is that, we take a look at, and this board does, just organizations, the same organizations, depending on the nature of the service provided for what is expected in return for the money for the public service. We do that on a number of occasions. In other words, we'll give, 35,000 here, and the same organization will also get it for another purpose, 40,000 there, etc. Our view is that we review those whenever any one of those discrete items are more than $5,000 for that particular service or the item. That's what's being asked, and that's what the board's policy is. That's in the contract policy under Board of Supervisors policy D29.4. These issues these are very small contributions. Yes, I see that. I'm not going to dispute that they don't aggregate more than that, but we haven't had a chance to take a look at that to see, whether there's anything at all improper about this. With respect to the statute that you cite, we don't dispute that that's the statute, but at this point, the county attorney's been presented with no evidence that this money is not being used for an appropriate public purpose. And until this board wants us to take a look at that, I don't have anything before me to make any comment that's meaningful to this board at this particular time.
Well, I did include this site. I put this on the agenda last Thursday, and I'm expected to be prepared to vote on Tuesday morning, given a Thursday deadline, and that's what I have to deal with all the time. And I will tell you that my expectation was that you would come here prepared with specific answers today, because these are real serious questions.